In this presentation, you will learn about Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule initiated social change in 19th century India, especially in Maharashtra, through his philosophy. The 19th century will be remembered as an era of social criticism and transformation that focused on nationalism, but more so because of its emphasis on women's issues such as female infanticide, child marriage, restriction on women's education, etc. He was known as a global philosopher and was respectfully referred to as one of the Mahatmas or great souls of India. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule was a social reformer of Maharashtra. He was the first teacher of the oppressed and a critic of orthodox people within the society. The task of social reform was not easy. Social reformers had made tremendous effort for social and religious change in Indian society during this period. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule played an important role in this area. As a solution to the problems of gender and caste oppression, he contributed with a constructive suggestion. This was by way of a new image of religion, which was known as universal religion. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule became critical about the ground realities of many rural groups. Influenced by Thomas Paine's book on rights of man, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule developed a keen interest in social justice and became a strong critic of the caste system. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule was a philosopher, leader and organizer of the oppressed caste. He fought for the rights of women, untouchables and worked for their liberation. He worked on several issues which included religion, Varna system, ritualism, British rule in India, mythology, and the condition of production in agriculture and peasantry. Jyotiba Phule emphasized on the significance of an individual rather than society. His contribution to women's education. In 1848, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule began his work as a social reformer and was interested in the education of lower caste boys and girls. He encouraged his wife Savitri Bai to take education and opened a girls' school, a first of its kind, on 15th May 1848 in Pune. As no teacher was available to teach in the school, and no teacher dared to work in the school in which untouchable students were admitted, Jyotiba asked Savitri Bai to take on the responsibility. The orthodox opponents of Jyotiba were furious and started a violent campaign against them. They refused to give up and chose the interest of the larger society over their well-being and safety. During this time, Jyotiba took keen interest in building a network of institutions which would enable education to the oppressed sections of the society. He opened 2 more schools for girls in 1851 and 52, was honored by the Board of Education for his contribution towards women's education. By 1858, he gradually retired from the management of these schools and entered a broader field of social reform and turned his attention to social evil practices prevalent in the society at the time. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule's views on untouchability. Other than the field of education, Jyotiba worked towards addressing issues that the Dalits and untouchables faced in society. He believed that revolutionary thought must be backed by revolutionary practices. He analyzed the structure of Indian society and identified the Shudra as the most oppressed. He believed that the Shudra would lead the revolution on behalf of the whole society to liberate the entire people from the restrictions of Hindu traditions. Water, which is considered as life, is a human rights issue. Jyotiba realized that the oppressed sections were not allowed access to wells, ponds or lakes, so he fought on their behalf for access to water. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule's ideas and work have relevance for all Indians. As his great work for the lower castes, he was felicitated with title Mahatma by the people for the erstwhile Bombay in 1888. He belonged to the first generation of social reformers in the 19th century. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule spoke on religious and practical issues for many years. Through debate, he removed illusions from the people's minds. He has written books dedicated to the people. He continued to discuss these issues in newspapers. He has instructed the public through many poetic compositions. He ingrained knowledge to the people about the cause and effect of religious matters. He has displayed what is right and what is wrong with respect to customs and traditions. He disapproved the practice of idol worship and held monotheism. He firmly believed that the adherence to a false religion, idol worship, and caste system have together created destruction in India, a fact reflected in his book Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. In her book Culture Revolt in a Colonial Society, noted sociologist Gail Omwit mentions that Mahatma Jyotiba Phule's thought represented the fulfillment of the Renaissance desire for social transformation along revolutionary lines. In sociological terms, it makes good sense that he, rather than later and more widely known elite thinkers, should be the primary Renaissance figure. Any culture, after all, rests upon the class society and the dominance of a particular class. Hence, the total transformation of culture requires the destruction of this dominance. In terms of India, Hindu culture and the caste system rested upon Brahmanism. Hence, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, who aimed for the complete destruction of caste, superstition and inequality, linked thought with a movement of opposition to the Brahmin elite. He was a vehement critic of the caste system that was based on Hinduism. He viewed Hinduism as a hegemonic ideology of the Brahmins, where the lowest castes were exploited, excluded, and discriminated against. Thus, the Brahmanical attitude fueled the process of marginalization, not only at the economic level but also socially and politically. Social reform movement. The essence of the history of the 19th century is the story of the social reform fueled by the introduction and spread of modern education. During this transitional phase, even though educational institutions were open to everyone, not many were aware of the importance of education. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule worked towards building awareness relating to education and its potential for social change. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule started revolting against the biased caste system and justified the cause of education of women and lower castes. He felt that education could become a tool in recognizing the work of the oppressed castes as a dignified labor which was exploited by society. In 1873, he established the Satya Shodhak Samaj that aimed towards the consolidation of an egalitarian society. The Samaj worked towards integrating women into formal education system and advocated widow remarriage. Jyotiba's social thoughts are based on humanism. It is based on values of equality and justice. He spread his values through his work and thought. Jyotiba's humanism can be considered to be true and modern. He was the first amongst his contemporaries to advocate structural change by overthrowing the hegemonic culture built by the Brahmins and upper classes. For Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, knowledge matters because it can help question, change and transform the individual and society. Thus, he, like John Dewey, believed in the power of education in making society more democratic. It can play a role in reconstructing, rethinking and interpreting tradition. This aspect of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule is extremely relevant in the context of caste in contemporary India, where despite constitutional provisions, caste discrimination and caste-related atrocities remain widespread. Let's summarize. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule was known as a global philosopher and was respectfully referred to as one of the Mahatmas or great souls of India. He was a philosopher, leader and organizer of the oppressed caste. He fought for the rights of women, untouchables and worked for their liberation. In 1848, he began his work as a social reformer and was interested in education of lower caste boys and girls. Other than the field of education, he worked towards addressing issues that the Dalits and untouchables faced in society. He viewed Hinduism as a hegemonic ideology of the Brahmins, where lower castes were exploited, excluded, and discriminated against. In 1873, he established the Satyashodhak Samaj that aimed towards the consolidation of an egalitarian society. I hope you now have a better understanding of the works of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. Thank you for watching the presentation.